the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders...
To 5?
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
To get the pit as your skis are tuned, dial *811 *397 #.
You may be in the pit. You do not see how you could get out. But the good news is that you do not have to get by yourself. The Most High God is about to lift you out. He's about to turn the medical report. He's about to free you. He's about to open new doors, bringing new opportunities, new relationships. The pit is not your destination. Get ready to rise.
To get the pit, dial *811 *397 #. *811 *397 #.
Familia nyingi zimeathirika na hata mara nyingine kupoteza wapendwa wao kutokana na aina za majiko zinazotumia kuni nyingi na kutoa moshi nyingi. Lakini sasa kuna suluhisho kupitia kwa super jiko. Majiko ya kisasa yanayotumia kuni kidogo na kutoa moshi kidogo. Hivyo hutunza familia yako kutokana na magonjwa yanayoletwa na moshi. Kwa kutumia kuni kidogo pia tuna save mazingira yetu. Siri ni kuwa majiko haya ya kisasa yametengenezwa kwa lea nono ya udongo ili kuzuia kupoteza joto, uhifadhi joto jingi na hivyo upika kwa haraka. Kuna aina nyingi ya majiko haya ya kisasa. Waweza kujengewa jikoni mwako au waweza kununua. Usibahatishe.
Super Jiko, upishi smart na salama. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na Wizara ya Kawi na washirika wenza.
To let the music play, easy kwenda kama doba pamoja na mabeste boy. Oh 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 oh, glory to the Father. Come on, let us praise His name. And I never wanna feel her.
Good evening, wherever you're watching us. It's 9 p.m. East African time. Welcome to KBC Prime Edition, bringing you the eyes on the news. This Tuesday, the 21st of March, the year of the Lord 2023. A little later on Scorecard, my colleague O'Brien Kimani engaging the CS for East African Community, ASAL and Regional Development, and the subject of discussion is the drought situation. O'Brien, what will you have for us later on in the broadcast? Opposition leader Raila Odinga announces plans to hold mass action twice a week. Kenya Kwanza and Azimio legislators trade blame over mayhem in Monday's opposition demonstrations. County governments to receive 15 billion shillings more as equitable share of revenue. My colleague O'Brien Kimani was in the process of letting you know that later on Scorecard, they will be engaging the Cabinet Secretary, Rebecca Miano. She's in charge of the East African Community and ASL and Regional Development. And the subject of conversation, of course, is drought situation. You don't want to miss that coming up later on. Our sign language interpreter, Brian Muraru. And my name is Mboya. A warm welcome to this live broadcast. We begin with our top story. The Azimio la Umoja coalition has announced the escalation of mass demonstrations in Nairobi for 2 days every week. Opposition Chief Raila Odinga says supporters of the coalition will be demonstrating every Monday and Thursday beginning next week until President William Ruto gives in to their demands. Well, that report opens our coverage tonight.
Due to what he termed as public pressure, Opposition Chief Raila Odinga now says his supporters will be hitting the streets twice a week on Monday and Thursday.
Mambo yetu itaendelea. Tumesema kuanzia wiki ijayo tutakuwa na mgomo na maandamano siku ya Jumatatu na siku ya Alhamisi.
Raila says President Ruto's administration must bring down the cost of living by reinstating the subsidies introduced by retired President Uhuru Kenyatta on unga and fuel, as well as reinstate the 4 breakaway commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
Sisi tumesema tunataka ukombozi. Kumbeza kuambia wafuasi wetu wote, sisi tunataka kukomboa Kenya. Ili Kenya iwe ya Wakenya.
The opposition leader who alleged an attempt on his life and that of Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka by the police now says they will file charges on individual officers alleged to have used violence on his supporters. Raila claims Azimio will be seeking to charge Nairobi Police Chief Adamson Bungei, who declared the Monday protests illegal.
We'll press these charges locally and internationally. We'll make Mr. Bungei and his enablers understand that the days when regimes could brutalize and butcher citizens with impunity are long gone.
But there may be those who probably think that we also don't have rights. We have a right kugomea. Kugomea sio to act in isolation or anything. Absolutely not. What we are saying is fair reporting.
Once a notice for demonstration is given, the police become facilitators, not obstructors.
In a near repeat of his 2017 resist movement, Raila has called on his supporters to boycott telco services provider Safaricom, banking services provider Kenya Commercial Bank, and Radio Africa's The Star newspaper. John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Now, members of parliament from both sides of the political divide are now trading blame over the injuries and damage of properties incurred during Monday's protests by the Azimio coalition. While Kenya Kwanza Alliance wants Inspector General of Police to arrest and charge Azimio One Kenya leader for destruction of property, the opposition legislators are accusing the police of igniting chaos in what they claim was a peaceful march. Ishoki Washira reports.
Addressing media at Parliament, Kenya Kwanza leaders, led by United Democratic Alliance chairperson Governor Cecily Mbarire, blamed Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga for all the injuries and destruction of property witnessed on Monday. The leaders calling on the Inspector General of Police and Registrar of Political Parties to surcharge Raila and Orange Democratic Party, respectively.
It is also time to raise the bar and make Azimio and ODM fully accountable for the injury, loss, and damage occasioned by the rioters thuggery they mobilized on the pretext of constitutionally protected demonstration. We urge a reckoning of the damages and the speedy accountability in conjunction with the registrar of political parties.
The only challenge that we want to give to the police is that those looters that are publicly known, those that have been captured on cameras, breaking up meetings, stoning people's vehicles, going into business premises, we want to see them arrested and arrested right now. The leaders that have been accompanying them into these demonstrations, they also need to be arrested and brought to book.
And we want to encourage the Inspector General of Police, fear nobody. Don't just arrest the young boys and young girls who are being paid to demonstrate. If the buck stops at the door of Mr. Odinga, go for Mr. Odinga.
Azimio legislators instead threw blame to the police for turning what they claim was a peaceful protest into chaos.
Yesterday's maandamano was peaceful in its planning and execution until police interfered. We have seen images, and you people captured them, of police officers firing tear gas, using water cannons on people who are just marching peacefully.
We have come to discover and confirm that it is only the police that can make our demonstrations either violent or peaceful. The choice is with the police. It is the police that can decide whether the demonstrations will be violent or will be peaceful. It's not the people of Kenya.
And on that note, we demand that all those youth who were illegally arrested yesterday and are languishing in various police stations be released immediately and unconditionally.
The opposition vowing to lead mass protests every Monday until the government accedes its demand, which amongst include lowering the cost of living and stopping the ongoing recruitment of IEBC commissioners. Yishuk Washira, Prime Edition.
MPs from both sides of the political divide, they are trading blame over injuries as well as damage to properties incurred during the Monday protest. Let's now get the reaction from the Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome. He is tonight condemning what he terms as unwarranted violence meted out against the police officers during Monday Azimio pockets of protests. In a statement, Koome said police arrested 238 protesters during the anti-government protests held in Nairobi, Kenya, and also in Kisumu County, and that more than 30 officers were injured in the fracas, with 10 police vehicles damaged. Here's that report.
More than 200 people were detained in the aftermath of anti-government protests in various parts of the country on Monday. According to the National Police Service, in Nyanza, 25 people were arrested while 7 officers were injured. In Nairobi, 10 police vehicles were damaged, 24 officers were injured, and 213 persons were arrested by the police. While condemning Monday's protest by Azimio, Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome said investigations have commenced following the death of a Maseno University student shot during Azimio protests. In a statement, Koome termed the demos illegal, saying the sole aim of the opposition leaders was to invade State House, saying it is regrettable that even after officers restrained themselves and acted within the law, rioters invaded Maseno police station, hurling stones at police officers and property. The National Police Service says it remains open to external scrutiny and investigations from external independent constitutional agencies. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Now, the government has scaled up the national response to the drought situation in the country. A cabinet statement said Marsabit and Turkana counties have now been classified as the emergency drought phase. This will help mitigate the effects of the ongoing drought and improve the livelihoods of those affected. Here's that report.
The cabinet has sanctioned the scaling up of the national response to mitigate the impact of the current drought. The scope of the enhanced response will be 22 affected arid and semi-arid land, otherwise known as ASAL counties, with Marsabit and Turkana counties now classified in the emergency drought phase. while the 10 ASAL counties of Kitui, Kajiado, Kilifi, Makueni, Mandera, Samburu, Tana River, Wajir and Isiolo remain in the alarm drought phase. The scaled-up national response will continue to provide aid to affected communities to ensure they have access to basic needs in a bid to prevent the loss of lives and livelihoods in affected areas. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Marsabit and Turkana counties, they are being classified as emergency drought phase. Remember, a little later on in this live broadcast, my colleague O'Brien Kimani will be engaging with the CS Rebecca Miano, and the conversation topic will be around the question of drought. But moving on, the Auditor General, Nancy Gadungu, now wants incoming administration to employ the first in-card, first-out criteria in settling pending bills. In a report to the Senate through the Senate Devolution Committee, the Auditor General says successive governments should honor obligations for goods and also services procured during their predecessors' regimes so as to resolve those stalemates on pending bills in counties. According to the Auditor General, diversion of funds meant to pay pending bills by incoming governments have worsened the situation. The Auditor General further wants all eligible and verified pending bills budgeted for as a first charge in the budget. And here in Nairobi, Kenya, the Nairobi County collected less than half of its daily revenue collections yesterday following the anti-government demonstrations that were led by the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Amolo Odinga. According to the county governor, Johnson Sakaja, if those protests are to go on as planned, the county recovery plan will be disrupted. The governor spoke during the launch of the Nairobi 100 Days Rapid Results Initiative at the Charter Hall, where he called on his county executive members to ensure the short-term goals envisioned in a 10-point presentation are adhered to within the set time frame.
Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja termed yesterday's demonstrations as a major impediment to the county revenue collection, with the city collecting less than half of its daily collections. The county boss says if the weekly protest by the opposition continues, they will have negative effect on the economy of the county.
30.3 million. Daily we're supposed to be hitting 77 to 80. We collected 30.3. And the only reason we collected 30.3 is because of the technology. People can pay from home. And those who took advantage of the protest, because the Constitution allows for it, but those who took advantage and were captured on camera, uprooting public infrastructure, destroying public infrastructure, and even private, must be charged. Those caught doing that, because we cannot say that it's acceptable. All of these things we're doing then are destroyed in a day.
The governor was presiding over the launch of the second Rapid Results Initiative, where he called on his county executive committee members to ensure the success of the initiative. The initiative is touching on 10 key areas, among them greening of the city, health, wellness and nutrition, business and hustle opportunities, built environment and urban planning, finance and economic planning and innovation and digital economy.
Be firm, don't let any interference spoil the work that they're doing.
We want to make sure that we get the right outcomes that drive growth, that drive focus, that drive utilization of skills and knowledge that we have to be able to improve in each of the spaces that we have.
RRI is about teamwork, and this teamwork is not necessarily on the hierarchy we use in our normal day-to-day working.
The initiative that seeks to better the lives of Nairobians will be handled by 70 teams, with a promise from the county boss to reward the top 10 performing teams.
100 days from today, these stakeholders of the Rapid Results Initiative will sit together to assess the success of this program, even as they draft their way forward to ensure citizens and business owners of this county get top-notch service delivery. Isufar reporting for Prime Edition from the Charter Hall in the county of Nairobi.
Well, Kiambu leaders are now calling for justice for the late interior designer Jeff Mwathi. All those stories coming up after our first break, right here on Prime Edition. Do stay with us.
Mmeona hata Murang'a wasichana wanagoma masomo kutokana na kusema kwamba skati zile za uniform siko mrefu. Mimi nakubaliana nao. Why are you dressing a schoolgirl like a nun? What do you have in mind? God has created her, allow our children. Si unaona? Yeah, nipigieni makofi tena waambie hawa. Yeah. Be modern like Mutula. These girls don't want to become nuns. These girls want to become Kenyan citizens. Yes. Na kwa hivyo lazima tuunde uniform iwe smart kama hii hapa Chelelisi. It's very attractive and beautiful.
Kuna hizi kampuni zenye zinajua mali niko, kitu nimekula breko, kitu ninasema sahi, kitu nitakula next week on Thursday, pesa niko nazo kwa account, siblings wangu, the list is endless. Na mnajuaje hii information? Kwani mnani stock?
Lakini nikuulize, kabla ya kupress allow, ulijiuliza hii information inatumiwa kwa njia gani? Kabla ya kuallow, hakikisha umesoma terms and conditions.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na ofisi ya Data Protection Commissioner.
Nini?
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustle of funds?
Will your children sleep hungry when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table? 5? I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact?
Welcome back to KBC Prime Edition. Our socials at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Mboya24. Let's begin this second part of this live broadcast with the 2/3 gender rule matter. A section of legislators have welcomed the proposals by the National Gender and Equality Commission to have specific elected seats at the constituency level reserved for women. NGEC is proposing that the number of county women member of parliament be doubled from the current 47 to 94 seats, so as to achieve the 2/3 gender rule, led by nominated Senator Beth Kalunda. The legislators vowed to sponsor a motion in Parliament that will see the proposal enacted into law and called for concerted efforts in achieving the elusive 2/3 gender rule.
In attempts to ensure that no more than 2/3 of the lawmakers are of the same gender, the National Gender and Equality Commission has recommended the restructuring of the 290 constituency and an increase in the number of elected women members of parliament.
The numbers of both the gender top-up, the doubling of the current elected woman member of the National Assembly from the counties, and tripling, all of them have the natural tendency of increasing the numbers. Preservation of women's constituencies for affirmative action on rotational basis.
During the parliamentary legislative dialogue on the 2/3 gender rule in Nairobi, the commission said the proposals will solve the 2/3 gender rule puzzle that the lawmakers have failed to reach a consensus on for the last decade.
When they are in parliament, in either 1/3 or 2/3, they are able to represent the women of Kenya effectively.
As a commission, we have a coordination role, and therefore we are very happy to even have as many coordination meetings as possible, so we can get to know at what level everybody is at in order to have this attainment see the light of day.
The proposals by the commission have been backed up by a section of legislators who have pledged to support the agenda once in parliament.
I am ready to lobby both houses at whatever cost, because women make more than 50% of the population of this country.
That we have an enormous task ahead of us to pass this bill that will be promoting women's political participation.
Wengi huona ni kama ni vita vya wanawake na wanaume, lakini tunajaribu kuleta usawa ili kila mtu apate kuwakilishwa katika ile meza ya mviringo.
The lawmakers also champion for political goodwill from across the political divide in achieving the 2/3 gender rule.
And support from all members of parliament, irrespective of political background, in the realization of this all-important principle.
Development requires both gender for balance of development in this nation.
Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
Now, a section of members of parliament from Kiambu County now want government to focus on solving the mystery behind the death of interior designer Jeff Mwadhi, led by Thika Town. Member of Parliament Alice Nganga, the MPs claim that all persons named in the incident must be apprehended, even as investigations continue. Jeff died after falling from the 12th floor of Redwood Apartments around Safari Park Estate on the 22nd of February of last month.
People who were with Jeff that day, they are still outside. No arrest has been made so far. It is a month since that case, since Jeff died, and it is taking longer than it's supposed to be. We are expecting them to have been arrested, because we know they are all over. We have seen them online talking about it. Even when the case is active and going on, we have seen those people who are with Jeff that day going on online, trying now to brainwash people or to wash away the case, because they are going saying they cannot do it. In fact, and no arrests have taken place. You know, what we are asking is, are these people above the law, or what is going on?
It's justice only for the rich. This should come to an end. We are demanding that the people who committed this crime should be arrested and arraigned in court. And it's very simple. The evidence is there, and I don't know what else they are waiting for. So we are all asking for justice for Jeff.
Who are these that can never be questioned, that can never be brought to books and be asked and be questioned? We are not condemning and saying they are the ones who did it, but again we are saying let justice be given to Mama Jeff, because this lady, a common Kenyan hustler who was hustling in the Middle East, and only to be called and told that an only son that she was bringing up with the hustle has been killed. Yet no justice has been done. It's now a month, and we saw the other day the minister telling us that he has given the authority to the people in charge to make sure that these people are brought to books. And since the time he said that, it's now 14 days. We are only asking for justice for this young man. There are so many of our young men who are dying all over in the areas of Kiambu and Nairobi, in nightclubs every night, and nothing is done. We are saying as mothers, we are tired of burying our sons. And all we are asking is how many sons are supposed to be killed for the government to act?
Leaders there demanding for justice for the late Jeff Mwadhi. A young life cut short. Now, climate change is continuing to manifest, and groundwater sources now remain the next frontier as a main source of water to sustain life. For Turkana County, it is a story, by the way, of contradictions that while the county is classified as arid and semi-arid land, it also holds some of the largest quantities of groundwater reserves in its two aquifers. That's the Napu and Lotikipi aquifer. Judith Akolo was in Turkana County and brings you this story.
The sandy and hilly Lodwar town stands perched, surrounded by the imposing stony hills. But this town in Turkana County, classified as an arid and semi-arid lands county, is sitting on a freshwater aquifer. The Napu aquifer, with a capacity of over 10 billion cubic meters of water.
The beauty with groundwater is there is no evaporation. So once it gets recharged, it is kind of protected from the usual weather parameters.
It's an alluvial kind of aquifer that we rate to be very vulnerable.
Moving around Lodwar town, one notices the many water bowsers that dot the town, waiting for the call to deliver the precious commodity. Some drive into Moi Stadium to fill the tanks with water from River Takwel that snakes through the town.
We've done piping of 6 kilometers and we have raised tank within the aquifer to serve the people within that area.
An organization known as REACH, Improving Water Security for the Poor, in collaboration with the University of Nairobi and Turkana County government, is working on modalities to ensure that the vulnerable households are able to access clean drinking water.
For the county government to follow it to the latter on how the measures they need to take to protect the aquifer system.
But with a growing population in Lodwar town and its environs, there is fear that the aquifer could be contaminated due to poor sanitation and the use of pit latrines.
And one of the issues that I'm focused on is to develop mechanisms where all our water sources are not contaminated.
We'll do what we call community sensitization, to sensitize people who are living within the aquifer to move far from the aquifer because of its fragility.
The aquifer is recharged by River Kawalase with its catchment on Loima Hills Forest and River Takwel. The Napu aquifer is not the only one in Turkana County. The Lotikipi aquifer turns out to be the largest of the two, boasting of a capacity of over 70 billion cubic meters of water.
Haya maji hatutumii. Tumepata ripoti kwamba hiyo maji ni sunline. Haitatumika na binadamu mpaka wasafishwe. Tumeongoja wasafishe to date. Sisi bado tunakaa tu tunangoja maji ya Lotikipi.
Nasinyono is one of the agricultural areas in the Lotikipi Plains. Here, they are dependent on rain-fed agriculture, even as they are sitting on a vast aquifer.
Lakini sisi tunajua tu kufika mwezi wa 3, sisi tunaweka tu mbegu yetu chini. Tutarajia mvua itakuja wakati wote.
On this day, the skies open, and when it rains, the plains of Lotikipi with their clay loam soils become impassable. It is tough here, as the impacts of climate change are evident, as when it rains, it is a storm, and when it doesn't, it is a drought. Calls for adaptation to climate change might be the answer to the plight of the people here. Judith Akolo, Prime Edition.
Now, at the age of 30, he became the first indigenous Kenyan commander of the Kenya Air Force. He is the one who flew the body of the founding president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, from the coastal city of Mombasa all the way to Nairobi. In Military Tales, tonight we focus on Major General retired Dedan Gishuru.
On the 22nd of August 1978, Major General Dedan Gishuru, then commander of the Kenya Air Force, receives a call from State House.
I was called after midnight by the ADC to the President, Major Macharia. We want you to come to Mombasa immediately. We want 2 planes, and you must be in one of them.
The general quickly made arrangements for 2 planes to take off from Isili for Mombasa. Mission still unknown.
Around the station, and I said I want 2 buffaloes to be made ready. And I'll be one of the pilots, so look for the crew for the other members of the crew. In my plane, it was myself, Kano Tambo, and Julius Karangi.
He then receives strict instructions to park the plane away from public eye.
And then we landed Mombasa at around 6 o'clock. And then I called Macharia. They said, we have landed. Yeah, could you park the plane near the fire station that is away from the public? And then the casket came.
The mission was top secret, and they had orders to keep the news away from the public.
I was called by the Chief Secretary, Mr. Karefi, who was in Mombasa then, and he said, can you arrange for ambulance to take the body to State House without anybody knowing? We got there at 10 o'clock, we were there. By this time, of course, the ministers were called. So there was a kind of a mini cabinet.
After the confirmation of the message, the broadcast was finally made that the founding president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, was no more.
And Mr. Karethi drafted a message to be broadcast.
The call was then made to the Voice of Kenya, now KBC.
The message was actually very straightforward. It's been announced, yes sir, from State House, Nairobi, yes sir, that His Excellency the President, yes sir, passed on, disconnected. And that was, we got to set at 10 o'clock. There's 1:15. There's the time the message sank.
So, how did his career in the military begin? It all started when 5 Kenyans were secretly recruited to be trained by the Israel Air Force sometime in 1962.
So technically, the Air Force started maybe before independence. We were told you can apply to join the East African Community, where they were to train air traffic controllers.
They were Dedan Gishuru, David Kanagi, Samuel Mukirai, Frederick Collins Omondi, and John Apudo. The training of these 5 young Kenyans would be the foundation on which the Kenya Air Force would begin after independence in Isli, then known as Royal Air Force.
When we got independence, the Air Force was started, and initially we started with 2 planes, Chipmunk, with instructors from Royal Air Force.
But even after independence, the Air Force was still majorly under the Royal Air Force officers.
Although we came from Israel as commissioned officers, we were not accepted as officers.
Mzee Jomo intervened and allowed for General Gishuru to assume full responsibility of the Kenya Air Force.
Mzee Kenyatta said, okay, if these people are doing what they're supposed to do, fly, why can't they take over? And he reduced the stay of the British by 2 years.
As the commander, Dedan was the man in charge of flying, maintenance, and administration.
When I took over, of course, there were not many challenges, because flying-wise, I continued flying throughout. And I can tell you we had very good training by the British, both here and, of course, in UK.
He served as the commander from 1973 to 1980.
Promoted to full colonel and took over as the Air Force commander at the age of 30.
General Gishuru's years of flying were not without challenges.
So I was doing like 14 trips a day. After 2 weeks, tore my cartilage. So when I went back to home, to base, my knee was swollen like that.
Grounded not to fly again, a directive he did not heed to, and this decision sent him to theatre.
Later on, of course, in 1980, my leg became worse. So they removed, it's like ball bearing, because the cut, the meniscus had cut and it was rolling there. That's the one which was knocking. So they removed those.
Dedan Njuguna Gishuru was the first ever indigenous Air Force commander, having taken over from the British when Kenya gained its independence in the year 1963. In 1985, he became the Chief of Staff, Defense Headquarters, and in 1989, he retired from the military. Reporting from Tigoni, Limuru in Kiambu County, Amnesty Imano.
Mboya where Arkan.
Mimi sijui. Nimesikia tu fununu kwamba hii Seldigan by usiku haitakuwepo.
Sikiza. Na nikamdosa nikasirika kwa vita vitumikaza mguu kidogo, sawa?
Ibuchi kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Ati?
Kamera za border crossing point zote sahi.
Tumechezwa.
Roll out! Move! Huyu jamaa unaona kiwa credible kweli?
Tuta find out soon.
Good evening. I hope that you're having a wonderful Tuesday. Let's now take a look at the business news of the day. My name is Wairi Mujenga. Now, the county governments will receive 15 billion shillings more as equitable share revenue for the 2023-2024 financial year. This is after the National Assembly approved the Division of Revenue Bill 2023, which allocates 385 billion shillings to the devolved units. The 385 billion shillings allocated to counties is 23% of the 3.6 trillion shillings overall budget for the 2023-2024 financial year. Members of Parliament, through a report tabled by the Budget and Appropriation Committee, have proposed to increase county allocation from 370 billion shillings in the current financial year to 385 billion shillings in the next financial year, beginning July.
The money that we are giving our counties vertically accounts for around 23.3%, which is over and above the threshold of 15%, Mr. Speaker. That this is in addition to the other conditional grants that our counties receive.
A move that has been endorsed by members of Parliament who demanded accountability from the 47 governors.
I would like to ask the committee that any money that is sent to the counties through the National Assembly, the national government, the National Assembly, is given the law of oversighting.
Most of the money which goes to the county government goes to waste because of leakages, misuse of funds.
There is usually the temptation to allocate resources to other areas where governors and people who are running their offices at the county level are able to get kickbacks. But we want to encourage them to invest money in more productive sectors.
This is an increase of 4% from the 370 billion shillings allocated in the 2022-2023 financial year.
We would like to urge Treasury to ensure that resources going to our counties are fast-tracked.
Reforms need to be put in place and instituted so that encouragement is given to the county governments to enhance revenue collection.
Commission on Revenue Allocation, CRA, had proposed to allocate 407 billion shillings to counties in the 2023-2024 financial year, but this was slashed by 22 billion shillings attributed to fiscal consolidation and austerity measures.
When the people who fought for devolution did not intend devolution to be a center of expenditure, they thought devolution was going to be a center of production and contributes towards the exchequer.
The 385 billion shillings allocated to counties is 13% of the 3.6 trillion shillings overall budget for the 2023-2024 financial year that will see the national government get 2.1 trillion shillings for the recurrent and development expenditure. Wairi Mujenga for Prime Edition. Telkom Kenya is in the market again for the uptenth time, shopping for another buyer. This comes less than 6 months since the government bought a 60% controlling stake in the telco at a cost of 6.3 billion shillings. Telkom Kenya Chair Eddie Njoroge has told Parliament that the company is in talks with strategic investors for a possible deal.
Once the country's largest integrated telecommunication company, Telecom Kenya, has struggled to regain its foothold in the highly competitive Kenyan telecommunication space. The company, which split into two in 1999, has changed ownership 4 times as it struggles to turn a profit. Telecom Kenya Board Chair Eddie Njoroge has told Parliament that the company is shopping for another buyer.
Are you aware of any plans to sell all shares, both GOK and Ilios, from Telkom to another private entity?
We have been requested to look for investors. We are involved in that process, and we have been getting requests for proposals and also interested people who want to do due diligence. We have actually opened a data room for people to do due diligence.
The teleco is in the middle of another controversy after the National Treasury spent more than 6 billion shillings to buy back 60% of the company shares in October last year.
Two shareholders are talking between themselves. If there was a valuation of the company, then we would have been involved. But there was no valuation of the company. What they did is to agree that, yes, I want to get out, you can take my shares for free, and there is a loan that I had given that I would want you to pay me back. What was the value of the loan as per the audited account, and that's the figure which was agreed. So the company was not involved in any way.
This comes even as the Communication Authority of Kenya warned that Telecom Kenya could be out of operations next year when its licenses expire.
Outstanding dates or dates in relation to other service providers, for example, American Tower Limited and Safaricom PLC. This is likely going to compromise the quality of service and experience of Telkom Kenya customers.
Communication Authority of Kenya Director General Ezra Chiloba says the teleco owes the regulator 9.4 billion shillings in unpaid licenses fees and penalties.
License to operate is now under threat in terms of renewal, given the outstanding date to the authority estimated at 9.4 billion as at the date of this submission.
The legislators questioned Njoroge's role in the exit of UK-based private equity firm Helios.
Your chairmanship status, when you were serving.
Who this chair is he independent? Is he nominated? Or is he appointed? Because I've heard those 3 words.
I'm not a representative of Helios. I am nominated by Helios to the board.
Njoroge has further told Parliament that the teleco is better placed to operate as a private entity rather than a parastatal due to operational costs.
I assure you, honorable members, if this company was to go to government, this would be the end of this company. And therefore, there was a feeling from the new government that the best thing is for us to still look for a private investor who would then take over the shares.
Benson Druba reporting for Prime Edition.
The construction of 105 megawatts geothermal power plant in Nakuru County is expected to be completed in the next 24 months. The power plant, which is being constructed by Susian Menengai, Geothermal Quantum Power East Africa and Or Power, is expected to help lower the cost of energy in the Naivasha and Mai Mahiu special economic zones. Geothermal Development Company Managing Director Jared Othieno has said the project will produce enough electricity to serve almost 500,000 homesteads and 300,000 businesses.
After drilling geothermal wells and building the stream gathering systems at the Menengai Crater Fields in 2013, the Geothermal Development Company picked 3 independent power producers to develop the fields. However, the project ran into headwinds due to legal and regulatory problems.
We are waiting for the interconnection facilities from GDC and KPLC so that we can be able to produce our power and help Kenya grow in the renewable energy sector.
However, almost 10 years later, the Menengai project in Nakuru County is finally starting to take shape. According to GDC Managing Director and CEO Engineer Jared Otieno, once the plants are fully operational, electricity generated from the project will cost at least 7 Kenyan shillings per kilowatt, less than diesel or hydropower. Director at Shuk Technologies Frederick Gathuita says the availability of affordable, reliable power will bolster the development of light manufacturing, which he notes is an important part of Kenya's plan for industrialization as articulated in the Kenya Industrial Transformation Program. GDC plans to pump an extra 1,065 megawatts into the national grid in the next 10 years, which will be generated from Menengai 465 megawatts, Baringo Silare 300 megawatts, and 300 megawatts from the South Rift region as the government seeks more geothermal energy.
Tarifu zitaenda chini na production yetu ya power, production yetu ya vitu tunatengeneza hapa, cost itarudi chini. Alafu tena customers wataweza kupata vitu vyetu na bei nafuu. So natumaini hiyo kampuni kama ikamilika, mambo itakuwa mzuri pande yetu.
One of them is already complete. We are waiting for it. And the 2 others that are remaining, I wish to say that let them do something, complete them so that we can reduce the cost of living.
The Menengai project is the second large-scale geothermal field being developed in Kenya after the Olkara units in Naivasha sub-county, whose exploration is carried out by the Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KenGen.
Students planning to enhance their tech skills can now access funding to finance their education. This follows the launch of the Soma Loan through a partnership between Aspire Kenya and Moringa School. The facility will enable students to access the loan to help them to acquire critical market-driven skills in the tech industry.
With the burst of technology use and remote working that came with the COVID-19 pandemic, millions of jobs have opened up for the young people. However, a lack of skills has kept many from accessing these opportunities. To bridge this gap, financial services company Aspire Kenya has partnered with Moringa School to ensure that many young people can access the training without financial challenges. The Soma Loan will enable beneficiaries access resources they need to start an entrepreneurial journey in tech, including laptops, high-tech machinery, desks, and chairs.
We believe with this kind of unique solution, we can really increase the affordability and equal access for our quality training, which is what we're focused on.
The program looks to produce skilled workers who understand how to use technology to solve problems and to build a workforce with the required competencies.
What we do is really understanding our clients in the markets that we're in, and what their, like I said, their life needs are, or their business needs are, and supportive. So we're there for our clients.
Aspire is looking to scale the program by partnering with more schools, universities, and professional training institutions in Kenya.
So for us, it's very much focused on finding the right partners that we believe we can partner well with, and they believe we can support them. So in the Kenyan context, certainly if there's any other private sector education schools, tertiary institutions that are keen to partner with us, we are very interested to do that.
Nduta Mokami for Prime Edition.
Well, that marks the end of business news for tonight. We're going to take a short commercial break, but when we come back, Daniel Wahome with the sports.
Thank you very much. Caroline Jenga will be talking about the sport. And let's start with the trials of the Confederation of African Athletics under 18 and under 20 championships that are set to be held on the 24th and the 25th of this month at the Nyayo National Stadium. They have been postponed. Athletics Kenya says both that...
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But to 5, I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
Well, we apologize for that hitch, but welcome to the sport. My name is Daniel Wahome. The trials for the Confederation of African Athletics, that's CAA under 18 and under 20 championships that was to be held on the 24th and the 25th of this month have been postponed. Athletics Kenya says both Nyayo and Kasarani Stadia are not available, and the event will now take place on the 7th and 8th of April at the Nyayo National Stadium. The trials will be used to select teams to represent Kenya at the continental event to be held in Lusaka, Zambia on the 29th of April to the 9th of May. Kenya will seek to defend the under-20 title from Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire in 2019, while seeking to dethrone South Africa in the under-18 division. Now, the National Deaf Rugby Sevens team is appealing to the Ministry of Sports to come forward and help them secure air tickets and allowances for the team, which is expected to jet out to represent Kenya at the 2023 World Deaf Rugby Sevens, the championship which will be held from the 5th to 9th of April in Cordoba, Argentina.
Speaking to KBC Channel 1, the Kenya National Deaf Rugby Sevens Team Secretary General and Team Manager Joseph Gari said that the Kenyan team has been working hard in training and is optimistic if they are given a chance to participate, they will register good results.
We have been working more closely with the Ministry of Sports from last year. The early information that we got them, it was very well. They are aware of the deaf rugby. We have all moved a long way from month September up to March. So what is possible is that they approved our support that we need, which is quite urgent.
Gary also mentioned that the Global Showpiece will offer a platform for the players to get more experience and exposure.
I'm very sure, and I wish only we shall support. We believe that Kenya Deaf Rugby is going to achieve better results because we've been planning for championship with the others. This is going to be the first one. And I want to say that Deaf Rugby, we have a team who is strong and they are very ready for competition.
On his part, Captain Martin Kasivwa appealed to the sports CS Ababu Namwamba to come to their aid.
If we have any supporter or the government ministry can support us, true, we are very ready for the competition, starting from 5th to 9th.
The championship will be held from 5th to 9th of April in Cordoba, Argentina, where more than 28 teams are expected to take part.
We are ready and we're working hard to win, to get the trophy back to Kenya. They will make the government happy with us too.
For Prime Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendo.
Now moving on is that France and Paris Saint-Germain striker Kylian Mbappe has succeeded Hugo